Yeah, I walk the block like a young lord, a slum dog. Amongst the war-torn liquor store, gun store, bodega like a general store where you could get you some raw or whatever you want, it's all yours. Fiends nodding off on the milk crates, DTs hiding out trying to build case. Repeat offenders selling cause their bill's late, and they don't see another way, now that's an ill fate. Brother trying to make sure his appeal straight. Remember came back from Kuwait with a steel plate. Shit is real, even Steve Jobs died. These kids don't wanna idolize guys to Bill Gates. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up to Zuccotti in your Bugatti. You probably just don't get it, you bourgeoisie. You probably wasn't expecting this new posse. Trying to make a change, you know who's on me. Huh? You know who's on me. You know who's on me. You know who's on me. Move calmly. For real, they pop pills and shoutin' YOLO now. On some don't look back shit and don't look down. Everybody wanna have a colder style. Rather be a Colin pal than a Goma pal. That's that gangster mentality. People got it all crooked. Wanna be a real crime family. Ain't up on them Bin Ladens in the bushes, it's a damn shame. You still quoting Scarface. Clicheer than the car chase. And if you saying that it's art for art's sake, then I'm just saying don't get caught counting cars, ace. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up in your Lex in front of the jet. Say we ain't even from there, something suspect. Show some respect, at least show some sense. If you're trying to connect, that's a stretch. You trying to contest? You want who's on me, huh? You want who's on me. You want who's on me. Move calmly. Hey yo, EMP's the army. Better yet, the National Guard. Better yet, international's ours. After the party is the anarchy. That ain't a plan hardly. Man, don't even start me. Know what I don't like? I won't lie. It's exploitation, trying to play both sides. Disenfranchise you on the block. Think a revolution starts just by shooting the cop. You wanna ruin two families? That's what that is. So focus on the bullet, we forgot about the ballot. And when your hands already bloody, what's a little more? In the struggle, hope there's not another civil war. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up to Zuccotti in your Bugatti. You probably just don't get it, you bourgeoisie. You probably wasn't expecting this new posse. Trying to make a change, you know who's on me. Huh? You know who's on me. You know who's on me. You know who's on me. Move calmly.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
The thing about hip-hop today is it's smart. It's insightful. The way that they can communicate a complex message in a very short space is remarkable. And a lot of these kids, they're not going to be reading the New York Times. That's not how they're getting their information.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Hip-hop culture is more than music.
Peace to you and speak the truth. Show 'em what peace can do when there reach for you.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Rap is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live.
So hip-hop didn't invent anything, but hip-hop reinvented everything.
This is Baby Girl Faces. And this episode is brought to you by
Yes, indeed. What up, everybody? It's your man, Manny Faces. What's up? Check 1 2. You can hear me this time. So last time we had a little kerfuffle. We had a little technical difficulties right out of the gate. But I know you can hear me because I can see the little thing going blip, 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 blip. So I know. Listen, this is Hip Hop Can Save America. Shouts to Baby Girl Faces, who you saw in the intro. We have a couple of new Patreon subscribers, patrons, people giving folks who are contributing to the cause, right? On the Patreon as patrons. So Ted Moana is on there. Also, Hip Hop Musicals, our good friends at Hip Hop Musicals have become a patron, and we appreciate them. We look forward to talking to them as we have in the past. Hip hop adaptations of musicals. They've done Cinderella in the past. They've done a bunch of others. So they're recent sponsors as well. You too can be a sponsor of this show down here, patreon.com/Manny Faces, and also at the newsletter that I'm about to talk to you about. But I'm just giving them props. You don't have to give me $1 or a dime, but I'm giving thanks to the people who have been watching me do this for a very long time. And what I do here, in case you're a first-time listener, first-time viewer, is highlight the ability of hip-hop, music, and culture to help uplift humanity and improve society, right? We love to be entertained. Are you not entertained? We love to be entertained by hip-hop. And there's a lot of, opportunity to do that. There's a lot of media outlets that talk about that or give you information about that. You could follow the entertainment lives of your favorite artists or your least favorite artists. You can talk about the drama, the gossip, the more drama, the more gossip. You can find a million places for that. I went and I told Mrs. Faces tonight as I was getting ready for this show, I was like, you know what, not for nothing, and I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but when it comes to hip-hop culture as a whole, like its entirety, not just the entertainment music side, this is the very best media outlet in the world for that. Point blank, period. It's fine. I'm not insulting anyone else. They just don't do this, right? They do great work in their lane. But when we talk about here, like hip hop and all of its intersections with education and health and wellness and science and technology and politics and social justice, no one else does this. No one else does this. So you're in a very special place. And I'm really honored and privileged that you're here. I'm honored and privileged to the people who put a few dollars into the piggy bank every month so that I can keep the lights on and keep doing this. No one really sponsors this. No one really pays for this. It's only a few of us that really recognize the importance of this. And I'm bringing it to you. I'm dedicating hours and hours and millions of dollars, not millions of dollars, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to do this. And so I appreciate your appreciation, and I appreciate the folks who are following. Anyway, it's a Manny. I didn't wear the hat, Andrew Wang. I apologize. Andrew was like, you got to wear the hat. It's apparently Mario Day, like from Mario Brothers. And I have a big hat that has a big M on top because Manny. And I didn't wear it. He told me to, and I forgot it. So I apologize, Andrew. I neglected my my wardrobe consultant's recommendations. Shouts to Valencia Burns in the building. What up, Valencia? Queen V was in the place to be at the event that I'm going to show you tonight. Like, we're going to actually play back the live version of the podcast. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I do this show. I interview people. We talk about some things. And it's great, and it's informative, and it's educational, and it's inspiring, and it's uplifting, and all the things. And we do it live. You're watching the live, 9 p.m. every Monday night, Eastern time. Oh, God, this standard time, daylight time, man, this hour just messed me up. I don't know about y'all, but it messed me up. Yeah, so we do this show, and we're here, and we do it live. So I've done a live show, and I've done interviews. What I hadn't done is a live show in person. I've done panels and I've done things in person, but I've never done this show, Hip Hop Can Save America, with a guest in front of a live studio audience until about a week and a half ago. On the 1st of March here in Atlanta at a place called 800 East Studios. Salute to PodJamATL, who did a day-long live event version of podcasts. There were 3 chosen, although only 2 showed up. I was there. Also, Your One Life by my man Kim. And I was chosen. They invited us to come down, and we did a live show. And I'm going to show you that show today. It's actually a really great. It was fun. It was different. It's different than this. And it's fun. And we did it in real life, and it was dope. And my man John Robinson, which you can see down here, John Robinson was there. John Robinson is a rap artist, super dope artist, been around for a multitude of years, independent. He's been a record label executive, but he's a rap artist. He's a producer, beat maker. He's also very aligned with what we talk about on this show, an educator and an author. And he's worked in the intersection of hip hop and education, particularly working with young people. He's written a book with another guest friend of ours, Dr. Jason Rawls, Jay Rawls, who is a great producer, just has an album out with Talib Kweli, and is a professor at the Ohio State University. They combined on a book in the past. They've worked together. So when I tell you that we have the people that are using hip hop in these really inventive, inspirational, and innovative ways, that's what it's all about. Thank you, Tommy and Kelly Herman, for giving us such a beautiful message to start our show off with. So once again, if you're in the chat, please chat us up. If you're watching us on the replay, please try to tune in live, Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern. I know, like I said, daylight savings time might have thrown you off a little bit, but we have a robust chat going on. We have people in the chat that are contributing to the conversation as well. And what I wanted before, I'm going to get into the interview right in like 2 minutes. What I just want to point out one thing to you, that if you are feeling any of this, if you may be confused, if you're a first time, you're like, what is he getting at? What's happening here? Just hold on. Let my man come on and we can talk about some things. And if you like what you're seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, smelling, please subscribe to the newsletter. You see it down there, maces.substack.com. This newsletter comes out periodically, usually every 2 weeks. What you will find in there is a plethora of news stories that talk about these kind of uplifting stories about hip hop, ways that they're being used to help people, to help uplift lives and livelihoods and communities, like in these intersectional worlds, but also on their own. If someone is doing something locally, we find that story and we bring it to you. If it's someone doing a community-based thing, outreach for young people, if they have a nonprofit, if they, just did an event. If last week we talked about Selma, Alabama. Selma just, I'll say celebrated, but commemorated, excuse me, the 60th anniversary of what's known as Bloody Sunday, right? This is the Selma Bridge crossing, the Edmund Pettus Bridge crossing in Selma, the Civil Rights March, John Lewis, and, all the folk that were involved in that bridge crossing that turned into an attack on demonstrators by police. A very foundational moment in the civil rights movement. And every year, Selma has what they call the Bridge Crossing Jubilee. And they go back and they talk about what happened, and it's sort of a call to action, and it's a coming together of the community, and they talk about political stuff, and they talk about social justice stuff, and they have all kind of like local artisans and, all the things that a festival would have, but with a deep, commemoration, but a celebration of life, a celebration of prosperity and pushing and resilience and coming together and making change. One of the things that happens at the Selma Jubilee is an international, intergenerational hip hop political summit. So you have some speakers, you have some performances and such, but you have some speakers that are talking about hip hop's role in advancing political, goals, right? It's a longer conversation. We talk about it on this show often. I talk about it in my own work, but that's an example of something that we shared some information about. So we talked to Dr. Adia Winfrey, who runs an organization called Transform Alabama, but she's also a hip hop psychologist. She started an organization called HYPE, HYPE, HYPE Hip Hop Therapy. She ran for Congress in Alabama, almost won, but then also started this organization that has now helped change legislation in Alabama, redistricting maps, political stuff where, certain neighborhoods are drawn out so that you don't get a majority black vote, so that, they can kind of rig the election in a way. And her organization has changed that, they have a congressman who won based on their fighting this illegal redistricting map, which then went to the Supreme Court. It's the whole thing. And at the heart of it, she'll tell you, this isn't me making this up, at the heart of that movement is hip-hop. Hip-hop spirit, hip-hop ethos, hip-hop mindset, hip-hop music, right? Hip-hop arts. But all of that together is what we saw happen in Alabama to affect political change in a way that, listen, I don't know who you are watching the show. I don't know what political leanings you have, but definitely it reflected the will of the people. If you ask the people in that area, in that district, they will tell you, no, this is what we wanted. Our politicians were pulling some funny stuff. This is what we wanted, and we're happy we're being represented the way we want. Hip-hop did that. Hip-hop made that happen when other things and other efforts had failed. That's the crux of this show. That's the crux of what I talk about, and that's the crux of what we share at this newsletter. So please, if any of this sounds intriguing to you, if you love hip-hop music and culture, but you don't know that it can actually make a difference in the world, au contraire, mon frères, I'm going to give you evidence of that. If you hate hip-hop music and culture and you think that it's nothing but negativity and destructiveness, au contraire, mon non-frères, you probably aren't my friends, but you can be my friend if you pay attention to what we're talking about with an open mind and open heart and come in here and get in our little ecosystem. So part of that ecosystem is this show, live stream, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Oh God, this hour. Eastern daylight? Are we now on saving? No, we're on daylight time. Whatever. 9 o'clock, when your clock says 9 o'clock Eastern time, we're here. That's part of the ecosystem. The other part is that newsletter. So get on that newsletter. The other part is the audio podcast. This is also an audio podcast. We have that. The other aspect of this is we have a Discord server. I'm looking at it right now. I'm on this screen over here. You can't see it. Hey, can we? No, I don't think. Can we? No. This way? No, that's that one. That's like me over here. What's up? You can't see it, but it's over here. There's a screen here. And we're on a Discord server. We have a subreddit. So we share stories. We share information. We share events. There's a lot of events happening that kind of work in these ways. Academic conferences. I mentioned Ohio State. Ohio State is having an academic conference that focuses on hip-hop and feminism. That's happening in a couple of weeks. The Hip-Hop Education Conference, Hip-Hop Ed, is happening in June. Rutgers is having a Hip-Hop Youth and Research Conference. Hip-Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference that I'm a big part of. That's happening April 11th at Rutgers University in New Jersey. What? All these things. Manny, you're saying so much. I can't keep track of it all. Fine, cool, I'll shut up. But go to the newsletter and you'll get all this information delivered to you at a pace that you can control. Fair? Cool. Appreciate you. So, that being said, I'm not going to tell everybody, Andrew. They got to go to the website. They got to go to the newsletter. Yes, many festivals and gatherings of hip hop folk. They need to find out. They go to the newsletter. So send them there. I'll put it in the chat. I don't know where you're watching, but can you get a window to open up and not get rid of me? Because you don't want to leave. Because we're about to have that interview with John Robinson. Substack.com. MannyFaces.substack.com. That's the URL. That's the URL to go to get that newsletter. So that all being said, look, I got a button. Brings me back to the top. Look. Lot to say. I wanted to get it all done by like 9:20. So here we are. You're here with me. I want to share with you the very first Hip Hop Can Save America live and in person in front of a studio audience. It was pretty dope. Thanks to PodJamATL. You'll see all their logos. PodJamATL, Podcast Atlanta, 800 East Studios, and DragonCon. Shouts to DragonCon. What a cool organization. They got a whole convention thing that happens here in Atlanta in the fall. Shouts to our people who came out to watch us in person. Shouts to Randy from Diversified Vines. Shouts to Valencia, Queen V in the building. Cakes by Valencia in the building. She was down with us in person. Shouts to my man Eric, works for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, came out. Shouts to Paula P, Talk Ish with P podcast was in the building. We had a bunch of friends there. And of course, John Robinson came out. Baby Girl Faces made an appearance. You won't see it here, but she made an appearance at the end. Nemes was out here. Shouts to Nemes. Shouts to like a lot of people came through just for us, but also just came through to the event. We actually had a lot of people there that you wouldn't necessarily think were like hip hop fans. Okay. If you know what I mean. But I love that because by the end, they were like, oh, snap. This is pretty dope. Y'all be talking about some things that are really dope. And maybe we have a new perspective when it comes to how we think about hip hop. So that's my job. I feel like we did that really well, but it was very much in part due to my good friend, my man, my mellow, John Robinson. You may know him as JR. You may know him as Lil Cy from Science of Life. He was there live and in direct. So we're going to play that now. I'm going to run that back. Keep shouting. Oh, I'm loud. I'm loud tonight. I'm all up in your eardrums. Oh God, you scared me, girl. Oh, I thought you were like an animal. Come here. What up? Say hi to the people. Baby girl faces, everybody. Oh my God. Say what up. Hi. Say it loud.
Hi.
All right, baby girl face is making a rare appearance. So we're gonna play. What happened? Will you make a rare appearance on this show? You shouts to Silent Night, SK in the building. You heard his song during the intro of this episode. His song Ogre. SK got new music coming out, by the way. So check out his Bandcamp, silentnight.bandcamp.com. Right? Not Silent Night is busy. Silentnight.bandcamp.com. He's our favorite artist in the whole wide world. He's in the chat. Shout him out. And Bandcamp Friday is back. So if you really want to, if you must, you wait till Friday, you could buy stuff, purchase, support musicians that you love on Bandcamp. They actually get the, like Bandcamp doesn't take their fee. So they get a little extra monies. You know what I mean? There's Valencia. She's like your biggest fan. Queen V. Say hi, Valencia. So yeah, she's been following. You know her. You met her. You met her at the thing. So Bob Knutson in the building. What up, Bob? So yes. So I don't know what I was saying. I was saying Silent Night's in the building. Support your local artists. Support your independent artists. The last thing I'm gonna tell you is I have a book coming out, and I'm almost ready to like fully announce it. I'm just waiting for the link to be available. Like to me, until the publisher gives me a link, it's not really real. But I'm in the process of final proofing like the proofs. Going like approving the cover design. It's pretty dope. So I'll give you a hint. It's probably called something like Hip Hop Could Save America. So it's this show in a book form in a way. So anyway, if you like this, you'll like that. Please pay attention. I will need all of your help and support and love, not just buying the book, but helping me find places to come and talk about it. So if you, I know a lot of educator friends listen to the show, they set up book talks at their colleges. Maybe you have a local bookstore person. Of course, I'm in Atlanta, but I go back and forth to New York a lot. I'll go anywhere, usually for a couple $. So, if you have an honorarium, could bring me in to speak. I'd love to do that. But we'll find ways to get in front of your faces. I will be in New Jersey, Rutgers, most likely April 11th for the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference. I'll see you up in the New York, New Jersey area. Should have a couple of days up there to kind of do some local stuff. So, if you're in the area, hit me up and we'll talk and we'll see what we can come through. But anyway, enough of that. All good. I'm done. Now it's time to get into what we came here for. I'm very proud of this episode. We did it live and in person, and it was my first time doing it. John Robinson is a pro. He's done 1,000 shows this year alone. He's been all over the world. He's a consummate professional. And I do this show, and it's a little bit different when there's nobody here but baby girl faces and some dogs. But being in front of an audience was like new for me. So let's see how we managed to pull this off. Once again, thank you you'll see me thank all the people, but it's PodJamATL Podcast Atlanta, 800 East Studios in Atlanta. Dope spot for your recording and rehearsal needs. And of course, DragonCon. Shouts to the good folks at DragonCon. A couple of them, I'll be on their podcast soon. So stay tuned to what I do on social or mannyfaces.com or whatever. And I'll be giving you more of me on some of their shows. That all being said, let's get into it. This is my the first and hopefully the first of many live and in-person episodes of Hip Hop Could Save America, in-person, live studio audience, featuring my friend and the inimitable, the incredibly talented Mr. John Robinson. I'll be in the chat. Let's go. Thank you. I'm proud of me too, Queen V. I appreciate you. I appreciate all y'all. Really do. So let's go. Say peace.
Get out.
Peace and love, everybody. My name is Manny Faces. That's not, for those who don't know me, not my government name, obviously. My real name is Bobby Elbows. So thank you. I'll be here all afternoon. Well, I run a show. I do a lot of work in the podcast industry, and I just want to thank, first of all, Mark and everyone involved with PodJamATL for putting this together. Number one, 800 East Studios, 800 East Studios, right? Got it. I went to 799 East Studios, and it was just not the same. You guys are really, I'm glad you know. So just thanks for putting this thing together. For several years, I've put on a show that's called Hip-Hop Can Save America. That's my baby. I've worked on a number of shows that have been to some acclaim, but this is my baby. The idea behind it is that we talk to, generally speaking, I talk to people who are using hip-hop music and culture in innovative, inspiring, and sometimes surprising ways that can help improve society and uplift humanity. So not just entertainment stuff. You may know this already about hip hop, and you might be like, yeah, Manny, great. Thanks for actually telling people about it. You may not know this about hip hop, and that's the kind of people that I love, because you will probably walk away here with at least a little bit of a different perspective than you might have come in with. That's my spiel. I'll tell you who I'm talking to and I'm bringing up in a second, but why don't you I made it, and it took time, so why don't we play the intro? Let's play the theme song.
The thing about hip hop today is it's smart. It's insightful. The way that they can communicate a complex message in a very short space is remarkable. And a lot of these kids, they're not going to be reading the New York Times. That's not how they're getting their information.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Hop culture is more than music.
Peace to you, and speak the truth. Show 'em what peace can do when they're raised to you.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Rap is something you do, hip-hop is something you live.
So hip-hop didn't invent anything, but hip-hop reinvented everything.
Thank you. One time, make some noise just for yourselves for being here tonight. This is hip hop, so make some goddamn noise. Let's get up. This is my first time doing a live show. We do a live stream every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you like what you hear tonight, you can visit me virtually every Monday night. But this is the first time I've ever done something in person like this. So let's just hope that we get through it. One of the segments that I do on the show when I do the live stream very often is a segment that I like to call Hip Hop News that isn't about dumb shit. Okay, so we're going to go through a few news items that you might or might not have heard about that, kind of reflect the ethos of the show. To help me get through this segment, let me introduce my guest for the day. This man is an artist. He's a rapper. He's a beat-making producer, a record label executive, and most aligned with what I tend to talk about on the show, he's an educator and an author. He's lived all over, including some very quality time down here in the A. He's performed around the world. He's collaborated with greats like the late MF Doom, with Blue and Exile, and many, many brilliant independent and underground artists that you might not have heard of, but probably should. Some may know him as Lil Psy of Science of Life, some as JR, but I've known him for a while as an insightful, talented, multi-hyphenate who's always down for a good discussion about this music and culture that we love. And I know him now, coincidentally, as a pretty close neighbor. So since we're in Atlanta, and since it's the first in-person version of Hip Hop Can Save America, it just made sense to bring up my man, give it up, my man, my mellow, John Robinson. This is a microphone, by the way. We're going to use this for y'all, so y'all going to have to say something about some things. We're going to try to work y'all into the mix as well. What up, John?
Yo, I'm feeling great. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well. Isn't this exciting?
It is. This is actually pretty cozy. This is pretty cozy. Yeah.
Nice. It's intimate.
Yeah.
So as you know, because you've been on the show, but you were kind of like a last minute guest. We were like talking about something of the moment. And I don't like to always talk about like what's in the news, because a lot of it is about the entertainment side of things. And we do try to stretch the limits of what we talk about, which we'll go into today. But I do have this segment called Hip Hop News that isn't about dumb shit.
Absolutely.
And so I figured I'd invite you on to give your 2 cents about a couple of news items that I wanted to share with the good people of 800 East Studios that are here for the PodJamATL. Get down, shall we?
Absolutely.
See, if I talked about what was in the news lately, I'd be talking about, Drake and Kendrick, right? And we've heard enough about, but okay, just by a little noise, fans of Drake? Ooh. Fans of Kendrick Lamar?
Jeez.
I gotta tell you something.
He even won here. Jeez.
I know. I gotta tell you something. But here's something I think we can universally agree on. Fans of Wu-Tang Clan? Right. So you may or may not have heard, of course, the Wu is going on their final tour. They're doing a farewell tour. You didn't know this, Eric? You look like, what, Manny? You just broke my heart in the first 5 minutes of your stupid show. The Wu-Tang Clan is going on their final tour. You knew this. You heard this?
I did know this, yes.
They are going, it's called Wu-Tang Forever, the Final Chamber, the last tour, the biggest road tour that it's undertaken, which will begin in June. ATLians, June 11th at State Farm Arena. So get your tickets now. They went on sale a couple days ago. It will have the entire Wu-Tang Clan. Have you ever seen the Wu perform?
In entirety, no.
No one has.
ODB was missing. Yeah.
Okay, even after that? I mean, like I did it too, but then they had ODB's son kind of take his place, but it still wasn't everybody. So according to RZA, who just did an interview with the New York Times, which is really worth watching or listening to, and also I think he did or he'll be on like tonight on Stephen Colbert on Late Night with Stephen Colbert, said everyone's down. Everyone's going to be there. They've made all the arrangements, all the hard-headedness or whatever, but this will be the last tour. Where'd you see him?
I think it's amazing. I saw him in Germany, actually, at the Splash Festival.
Okay.
And it allowed
was
me
that
to
in water?
understand. No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was near the water.
Okay.
In Leipzig, Germany. But it allowed me to understand that we love Wu-Tang here, but in Germany and Japan, it's like a religion. Like, seriously. Yeah. Put it like this. The crowd was so thick, Method Man, he didn't stage dive, he stage walked across the crowd. Like literally, he could walk across the crowd and they held him up. And yeah, it was just like amazing to see 30,000 people go in for Wu-Tang.
Wow. I think Jones Beach Amphitheater in New York, I saw, which is not 30,000 people, by the way. Anyone see a Wu-Tang show? Anyone been to one or everyone visited? What were your thoughts about it? Here, take the mic. No, you can do this. Check it out. That was, it's my first time throwing an live podcast mic.
You get to run and catch it too.
Yeah.
Saw them open for Rage Against the Machine in the 90s.
Oh, that was a big tour for them.
Yeah. Sound was, it was opening band, so the sound wasn't great. Probably 40 people on stage.
Wow. That's about right. That's how they roll. Yeah. First time they would come around. Yeah. First time they would come around. Come on now. Hey. First time they come around New York, we were like in the underground clubs. So they would just mob the stage. They'd all have like ski masks on. You thought, well, we're getting robbed. It's fine. This is New York. This is hip hop. And then it's like, no, then they start rocking their songs. And it's like the grittiest, nastiest, dopingest shit we ever heard.
It became a metaphor for having too many people on stage.
That's right. They set the stage.
They're Wu-Tanging it. Like, no, really.
Take your entourage off the stage. So anyway, it's news. It is big news. They're quite a legacy in music, not just in hip hop, of course.
Oh yeah.
And again, just the two interviews you might want to look at were the New York Times. It's the New York Times Popcast podcast. If you follow them, which I have issues with them sometimes, but I'm not going to say that publicly. Oh damn it! With their coverage of hip hop at the New York Times, but this was worthy, and again on Stephen Colbert. So that's the kind of thing we would talk about if it's timely and if it's newsworthy, not just like another win for Kendrick. I don't want to run out of time. I'm such a talker. I was in my daughter's school the other day for Black History Month. Right, they were doing a program. And she sings the choir, and they did, Lift Every Voice, and it was really dope. And they had like African dance and drummers rocking, and it was super dope. But they had like the kids doing like reading, Rosa Parks was, like doing like the, and one of them, so they were giving tributes to like obviously really important and famous folks throughout Black history, and then they were doing part about artists, and so she was like about Beyonce, and she was Beyonce always gives us empowerment, and through all the music that she does, let's give it up for Beyonce, and everyone was like and she's like, and then Kendrick Lamar, and all the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders started screaming when she said Kendrick Lamar, like the way y'all did, but y'all were like Drake, crickets, motherfucker. And then, so there's something to be said for cultural,
Totally.
Yeah, there's something happening there. We good so far? Yeah, we're all right? All right. So I wanted to pick a couple Atlanta stories, and I don't want to talk too long because I want to talk to Jay about his illustrious career as well. This is interesting because we talk about intersections a lot on this show. So it's the intersection of hip hop and X, right? So it might be, education is a huge one. Mental health therapy is another favorite area I talk about. There are legitimate intersections in these worlds. Science and technology, the fine arts, politics and social justice, business and entrepreneurship. Hip hop has some tie into these things that, again, are not just based in the entertainment world. One of them that's interesting, and I've talked to some folks about it on the show, is the confluence right? That's the right word. That's a real word.
Mm-hmm.
Between hip hop and religion and spirituality. And one thing that was cool because it happened in Atlanta. You hear about like hip hop as like me mixing the gospel and in the black church and that kind of thing, and that makes sense, obviously. You don't hear about it so much in the Catholic Church because they're a little bit more laid back and not all loud and rambunctious. But at the Lighthouse Catholic Center here in Atlanta, which services HBCUs in the area, they had a thing called the Hip Hop Mass, which is a hip hop musical, musical tribute, what do you call it? Praise and dedication, praise and devotion. But it was in a Catholic church and it was put together really well. Kevin P. Johnson is a composer. He's a Grammy-winning composer. Proposer. Let's get awards for proposing. I would have got an award for proposing. Their marriage didn't last, but the proposal was top notch. Anyway, so it's really cool. You can see it on video. And again, it's just another intersectionality that's happening where, and we've talked about this on the show. Well, not you and me, but the show and me have talked to people that recognize or like to point out a lot of virtues in the roots of hip hop, the ethos of hip hop. Hip hop is formed on a few pillars. One of them is peace, love, unity, and having fun. So if you have an impression of hip hop music and culture that might be delivered because of the industry or what you might see in media, you have to understand it literally started with the ethos of peace, love, unity, and having fun. Everything else is something on top of that and to the side of that and maybe bastardized by it. But so spirituality is very much have those same kind of core ethos. Be good to the next person, inclusivity. What culture do you know, JR, that, throughout the world, that you've been around the world, is more inclusive and welcoming as a come as you are culture than hip hop?
I don't think I've come across any scenario that brought people together more.
Right.
Different types of people.
Right.
Hip hop doesn't care about religion, creed, color, race, school of thought. It just wants you to come as your full, complete self. Be who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're the quirky kid in the middle of nowhere, be that.
That's right.
Hip hop.
We'll take it.
And then also understand that when we're saying hip hop, especially us, right? When we say hip hop, we're leading with culture, not music. So we're talking about the cultural nuances and the things that connect to people. And that's why we're bringing up these different things, because they connect to young people so brilliantly. And we watch hip hop do the work of pretty much all the work that the pushback says it can't in every other industry. And we want to see it more in education because we know it's a magical thing. But we'll talk more about that later.
Definitely. Sooner than later. We got two more quick stories. Thank you, brother. Speaking of, again, Atlanta, I want to pick out something in Atlanta. You were at it. I didn't even know this when I picked the story. So in New York City, they're building a hip hop museum. Okay. Big project, taking many, many years, millions and millions of dollars. They're behind schedule, which is very hip hop. But
yes.
But what they're doing now is they're doing pop-ups. It's a museum. They're also kind of doing seminars and pop-up shops. So they've gone around. They've been here to Atlanta before, showing off some, what do you call artifacts of
the exhibits.
Yeah, exhibits. They did one here in Atlanta I went to. It was really good. And one of the things they're doing is they're also working with some intersectionality. So they just came and did a webinar, not like a webinar, a seminar, mixer, teaching financial literacy to young folk, right? So again, it's a connection you wouldn't normally think of when you say, hip hop music and culture is like, yeah, I'm getting rich and putting all this money in my pocket. I got all this. No, young people, you're not going to be rich, but you should know how to save and invest and do all the things that, you may not be getting taught in school. So when you have the appeal, the razzle dazzle of hip hop heads, producer Zaytoven, Mike Will Made It was there. Who else was there that you remember or that was notable?
DJ Jelly.
Okay.
Who else was there?
So some Atlanta, folks that would bring
some Atlanta folks, a lot of education, EDU folks in the building. Kelly Glow was there.
Okay.
I'm forgetting, but
no, it's fine. That's good enough. Definitely
well attended.
They didn't pay us to talk about this. You don't have to remember everybody. They didn't sponsor this show, although you can hit us up at hiphopcansaveamerica.com. But anyway, so again, it's this sort of thing, and I can give you about 100 examples of these kind of intersections. In fact, there's an organization called Pockets Change. Those folks, Dialect and them, they were on the show as well. They also use hip hop. And again, here's the thing. When we say using hip hop, right? Sometimes it's the music, but sometimes it's the mentality.
Yes.
Right. So I'm looking at Pockets Change, and they actually have they do workshops. They go into schools. You could actually hire them to, like, maybe you're a community center, you work with young people, and you want to get the idea of financial literacy out. You can hire them, and their little framework here, like, starts with buy-in conversations, aka create the cipher.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know hip hop, you know that it's a cipher. Yeah, hell yeah. Oh God, I hit something.
What does, like, financial literacy and quitting smoking have in common?
And quitting smoking have in common?
Increases your fine.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Time horizons. How do you teach time horizons to kids?
Time horizons. JR?
Well, I'm still stuck on the riddle.
Yeah, time horizons meaning, like, what is it?
Like,
You're not smart. What does that mean? You sound
it's-
educated.
Well, no, it's like, I'm sorry.
You're smart.
It's like getting to see beyond, like, the immediate future for an adolescent or something, thinking 30 years in the future.
Okay.
You know? And I think for a lot of people, it requires them to get to a point where they're like, oh, wait, 20, 30 years is actually not a lot of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think by the time a lot of people reach that point, it's like, too late for them to save enough to retire and maintain their lifestyle.
Yep.
Yep. And like with quitting smoking, it's like, okay, by that point, maybe the damage is already done.
Interesting. Got you. Okay. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Wow. Okay. Got it.
You got some thoughts?
I do.
Okay. Because you work with young folks specifically.
Yeah. And I feel like one of the ways is definitely, I know it sounds cliche, but meeting them where they are and using those examples. And when you were speaking, I thought about times when I entered classrooms where, they said, oh, these students are not great researchers. These students, they don't really know geography like that. They don't know outside of their communities. But then when I start talking about people and things they knew about, they knew where everyone was from and what part of the country or what other country or what country this food comes from, blah, 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 right? But then when I start thinking about legacy and time, someone that worked well, this is 10 years ago now in the classroom, but someone who worked well for that was an artist like Lil Wayne, right? Because he's someone who started at 14 and was still relevant. And when we were talking about time and legacy and years in the game, when I pointed to Lil Wayne, he superseded their time, but he also was very relevant to where they were now. So they were able to look back and kind of use that as a measuring tool of saying, wow, he's the young OG. And that's where kind of that reference comes from, where you're doing things at a young age that are pretty prolific and next level, right? And you take it to a level where you're consistent for 20 years, but you're only, 30 at this point. And you get to actually be that example for young people because you're still in that space. So that's one way that I have done it. And I love that just thought of time horizons, critical thinking, and just thinking beyond your present because it's important.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
It's the meeting them where you are, bringing the things that we know that they would listen to the lesson a little bit better than, if we, come on now. Oh yeah. All right. Better than the Chiefs. So, I don't care about football, but that was funny. There was a few years ago, speaking of sports, LaMelo Ball, I think, who's, a young athlete and kind of the younger generation, made some waves because he said that Nas, who's one of the great OGs of the game, or a great lyricist, just a famous dude, wasn't relevant anymore. Yeah. And so all the OGs were like, yo, how can you say that about Nas? And of course he's relevant. He just dropped, an album. And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, these kids don't listen to it. It's not on the radio. He's not relevant to them musically at that time, which is okay, because the real lesson is that Nas is relevant in that he is not just a well-regarded rap artist. Nas is a venture capitalist. Okay. Yeah. Nas runs an organization called Queensbridge Venture Partners. Hi, people up there. Holy, where y'all come from? What's up? All right. Y'all got the penthouse suite view. I love it. Yes. So Nas is a venture capitalist. Like, he's parlayed his career, which is X amount of years in hip hop. He actually made a resurgence in the last few years, which isn't normal to be a 40, 45-year-old rapper still, out there doing the damn thing. But he's parlayed that into into the next level of his career.
Totally.
So when you show them that, like, hey, he's extremely relevant, but here's why. He took his money, he took his investments, and so when you put it in those terms, use these kind of examples, it's a little bit more real because they're from where they're from, they were young like they were, so like just using those connections.
Yeah, even the example of, right, he spent 25 years signed to a major label, Columbia Records.
Yeah.
Gets out of his deal and wins his first Grammy with the album he owns on his label.
Right.
So
right.
things
Even
like
from
that.
the business standpoint, like own your own, like that's
beyond relevant.
Yeah. So examples like that. And so, like I said, that's the thing of kind of making these connections. And lastly, I know we got I don't want to take up too much time because, we only have a limited amount of time and obviously I'll talk forever. That leads to the intersection, and it really touches that directly, is the mental health therapy aspect of this. So obviously it's a whole subject to deal in. I thought we might have a video. I was going to play a clip from a news story, but look it up yourselves. There are so many programs. I've talked to 5 or 6 people that are mental health professionals that do the same kind of thing. They found a way as a conduit. They use the music. A lot of us are from the music, but it's not the same music. Like we don't, but a lot of times we turn away from that when we listen to young people. Hip hop is much more than any other genre of music in that you really do talk about your life in the music, right? A lot of it is embellishment and, you're trying to, be someone who you're not, et cetera. But a lot of times it's not. There's an old, funny, not so funny thing that older hip hop fans will say. They'll literally say this. They'll say, man, we used to rap about selling drugs, and all these kids now, they rap about taking drugs.
Damn.
And I'm like, well, the former was better. but okay. I know what you're trying to say. The implication there is that the kids are soft. They make these songs about, taking, self-medicating and, smoking up and drinking. And I'm like, hey, I don't like their music sometimes either. But if my son or daughter is relating to an artist that is talking about self-medication and vulnerability and depression, well, that's something that we don't get from our kids very often.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to just like downplay his taste in music. I'm going to maybe take him to a therapist or be like, hey man, what's the matter? What's wrong? Why do you listen to this song? What's connecting? What connection are you making here that I, as a parent or as a teacher or as an educator or just a community member, need to know about? So it's giving us this real specific way to tap into what our young people are thinking. And if we just be like, your music sucks, I'm going back to listen to Backspin on Sirius, and when we lose that, we're missing that opportunity. So we like to encourage that to our teachers, our school counselors, and it's not just theory. I've spoken to people, I know people. Dr. Ian Levy, Dr. Raphael Travis wrote a book called The Healing Power of Hip Hop. J.C. Hall, who's featured in this NBC story that we were going to play, that we're not going to play, but that you can go home and play just over the weekend, about hip hop therapy and how effective it is. The other thing is that you might think this might be only effective in communities of color or, Black and brown communities. And no, although it's well suited for that, and those are the communities that have been traditionally underserved, underprivileged, under-resourced, and underloved. So it should be prioritized there. But let me tell you something, y'all white people, y'all kids listen to hip hop too, right? They know this stuff. They're talking the same stuff. They're listening. They know what people are like, I didn't understand a word Kendrick said. Your kids do. So again, don't miss this opportunity that's being given to you by the music that has this cultural undervibe that Undervibe. That's good.
It's good.
If it's never used before, I'm trademarking that. Hold on. It has this undervibe to it, right? That we are missing out if we don't make these connections. So that's the work that I do, trying to bring these connections to the public. How am I doing here with y'all doing that? Is that all right? We're doing all right? Cool. Now, less about my voice and more about my man, my mellow, John Robinson, if you wouldn't mind. By the way, I have a newsletter. Most of y'all got a card. If you didn't hit me up, I have a newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks where I curate stories like this. So if you're like, yeah, Manny, whatever, 4 stories, whatever, hip hop can save America. And I'm like, no, I'll give you 400. If you just remember New York, you give me 20 minutes, I'll give you the world. I was at 10 wins. You give me
22 minutes.
You give me a newsletter subscription and I'll give you the world. And when I say hip hop can save America, we won't get political, but what I really mean is that there's ways to make us better as a whole, individually, communities, and then cross-culturally, cross-communities. And these are examples of how you can do that. So that's kind of where we're getting at. There's more to it. We'll talk about that offline. JR,
Yes,
John
sir.
Robinson, my man, my mellow. So we've got a little hint about, the fact that you've traveled the world and you've worked with kids. So let's start sort of at the now and go back a little bit, if you don't mind.
Totally.
You're a musician, you're a producer, you're a rapper. I think you also are a airplane pilot and a psychic. So we'll try to get to everything.
Yes.
In terms of rapping and beat making, hip hop stuff, so we're here to talk about. What's your most current project, and that you tell people about? If so, hey, what do you do?
Yeah, most currently released in December 24, album called Sincerely JR. And what's different about this project specifically is I decided to not release it on streaming platforms and do more of a direct to consumer, buy it from my website, come to me. And the reason for that is I have hundreds of songs on streaming that you could check out, catalog, etc. But I don't want to be tone deaf to what I'm seeing and hearing just industry-wise. Streaming platforms are not being fair to creatives, etc. So I'm just playing my part and being forward-thinking to share with other peers like, yo, let's carve our lane back to our own platforms, our own digital real estate. Tell people what your website is. These platforms that we promote on may go away. Get back into your email correspondence. So really it's a call to say, I'm tapping back into nurturing and curating the people who are paying attention instead of looking over their heads trying to find new people.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah. It's a pivot that you need to take, but
it's a pivot.
Yeah. So again, this is certainly not the capstone. You're not retiring like the Wu-Tang Clan, but this is where you are now. Where did it all start for you? How far back does this go? You're only like 28 years old. Like, how far have you been going back and doing this work?
It goes back far. Long story short, 10 years old, 5th grade. A good friend of mine. I used to go to his house all the time, play video games, eat pancakes. One day his parents come to the school and I'm thinking he's in trouble. See them in the office and then they come in, they pull the little cart in with the VHS tape and they put a tape in, and it's his parents that I've known for probably 3 years at this time. And they're playing this tape and I see them on stage in Japan, on stage in Australia, on stage in these different international locations. And I remember just staring at them like, wow, this is what you do when you're not making pancakes? This is crazy. So I didn't realize until later that did something to me in a way that was just like, wow, these are real. And it wasn't starstruck more than it was inspiration. But long story short, their son taught me how to write. He taught me how to count bars. The first time we ever performed on stage was 10 years old. And it didn't mark me as saying, oh, I'm going to do this forever. I'm a performer. No, it marked as, wow, you're the shyest kid in the world. And now you have a superpower to communicate with and make you cool.
Yeah.
So, next year I had all the girls and was just chilling from there. But no, being serious.
No, that's seriously what happened to me. So I believe it.
No, it was that early of me learning a love for just writing and storytelling. It wasn't really about rapping yet or making songs. It was just, how can I use my imagination to storytell? So even then, right? Salute and rest in peace to my grandfather. He showed me so many movies and TV shows that I probably shouldn't have saw at such a young age, but it gave me perspective. So I'm in 5th grade writing things about Miami and I'm like, how am I knowing about it? Miami Vice and just all these TV shows and films, and I'm creating these stories, and soon they developed to poetry.
Yeah.
And the story continues.
Yeah. You grew up where?
I grew up in the Bronx and Queens. Okay. So South Bronx and Far Rockaway,
so Queens. You were in the midst of, hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When did it turn into sort of, so there's some of y'all know this. The question that a lot of people ask, when did you fall in love with hip hop? Right. It's from the movie Love and Basketball, or which one was it?
Love and Basketball.
Yeah, Love and Basketball. So when was that?
Brown Sugar.
Brown Sugar.
Brown Sugar.
Thank you. I knew I was wrong. I just didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. When did I fall in love with hip hop? That's a tough question. Just because I've been around it as long as I can remember. But the moment that I think of most is a song by Curtis Blow called AJ Scratch. And it just had this chant, AJ. And what connected me to it, I'm a young kid at the time, maybe 6, 7 years old, but I'm from the Bronx. In the first sentence, up in the Bronx where the people are fresh. It was one DJ. And it was just like, yo, we in the Bronx, we in the boogie down, we fresh.
Right.
And it just gave a certain pride. And the Bronx back then, as many stories you hear about how dangerous it was and crazy, the beauty of it was community. So if you were a part of that community, as many dangers as there were, everyone knew each other. So you couldn't just be the little kid doing dirt up the street because it would get back home. And you felt that sort of community. But yeah, AJ Scratch.
Interesting.
That did something to me.
That was the one.
Yeah, that was the one.
So I grew up in Long Island, so I'm right outside of the city. So we were like a half step behind everything, right? It was the same thing. I used to go to my man Craig house every Friday and Saturday. Here's the thing with early hip hop, like in the 80s, even in New York City, you could only listen to hip hop on the radio, rap music, you know, from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday nights. That was it. Chuck Chill Out and Molly Mall on BLS, Red Alert on Kiss FM. Yeah. So you had to take your cassette. Cassettes are these little plastic pieces that you record music on, sort of like your MP3. Okay, an MP3 player is this digital. So you'd have to tape your music like during those 2 hours, those 3 hours, and that's what you would play for the rest of the week. Absolutely. And so it was religion. You had there with your little unopened, or you tape over your last week's or whatever, and you would record. So that was like the kind of work you had to put into it. So we would go at my man Craig's house, and they had a basement, and he had a ColecoVision, so right, video games, right? ColecoVision was anyway, the old video game system, and we would listen to, you know, usually Red Alert, and we listen to the music, and so that was where we started. Now it was around, but that was like our, you know, nighttime, totally. You know, that was our thing, and it was My Melody, Rakim.
Got it.
Was the song that kind of like, you know, there had been music. Oh, yeah. But when you hear that and like the sonics of it, if you ever listen to, you know, Rakim, My Melody, it doesn't sound like any hip hop song that came before it or any hip hop song that came after it. True. And it was one of these things where my dad was a jazz and blues connoisseur. He grew up in Newark, New Jersey. So I was listening to Count Basie. I was listening to, you know what I mean? Like we were listening to music, but I didn't have that soul. He didn't get into that soul influence, a lot of doo-wop and early R&B. But when I heard this, I was like, oh, there's no one's made a thing that sounds like this before. And Agreed. It kind of took over. Agreed. You know, wordplay also, Rakim being a very poetic rapper, someone who, you know, just transcended the art form and made it into a different thing. My dad was a sociology professor, so I knew words, right? And so when you hear Rakim doing something new musically and doing something new verbally and linguistically, it was like, this is a thing. This is something different. So that was my moment anyway. So, you know, just to share. Yours, since you want to yell things out from the top, when did you fall in love with hip hop, Brown Sugar? Tell me.
When I listened to Manny's podcast, you know?
Oh, well, there you go. I like it.
Perfect.
I paid extra for that response. Tell me about how that transcended into a career. I don't know how much time we got, like, you know, I think we have a little time left. Tell me how you had a long, luxurious career. The word I was looking for was illustrious, but luxurious works. Yeah. You've traveled the world. Like I said, you've worked with some big names. You've worked with a lot of, you know, independent and underground artists that are, you know, fantastic and probably should have been big names. What are some highlights from your career? When did you start, like, making records, some of the tour stuff, notable things that have happened in your life? Besides seeing Wu-Tang in the ocean in Germany.
Splash.
Yeah.
Yes. You know,
doing your work.
The best way to answer that question is relationships and affiliations and connections and networking, right? My career in music professionally started with going to an open mic to give a tape to Bobbito Garcia.
Yeah.
Just simply for him to play it on the radio. Because when Stretch wasn't at the radio show, Bob wasn't a DJ yet, so he would play tapes on the radio.
Right. The other thing is college radio was super instrumental for early propagation of hip hop music. Because again, if it wasn't 10 to 2 Monday, Friday and Saturday, it could be Wednesday. I think Stretch and Bobbito was like midnight to 5 in the morning on Wednesday on Columbia radio station, the college.
89 Tech 9.
Yeah. So there you go. So you was trying to get on.
No, that's the thing. 100%. I just wanted play the tape on the radio. 2 weeks later, he calls back wanting to do a record. And at first, we didn't even know what to do with that. We like, a record? What? So long story short, that set us off. But the beauty was he had such an international following. That one move took us from the New York tri-state area to flying overseas and starting to get, traction internationally. And I think just more connections, the Lyricist Lounge, Rest in Power, MF Doom, we did a lot here. In 2000, my group, Science of Life, we moved from Jersey at the time to Noonan, Georgia, in a 3,500 square foot loft. And the whole mindset was, we knew that the music we were doing, the scenes we were a part of and connected to were happening here in the South, but no one lived here. No one stationed here from up there doing it regularly and intentionally going to the Carolinas and, Louisiana and all these Southeast locations around ATL Metro to actually connect and network and build our thing. And more so in Noonan, what we were doing, we were tucked away in this loft, and literally every day we worked our creativity like a 9 to 5. So whatever your expertise were, if you're on the beats, you're on that. If you're on website development or, retail telephone calls or calling DJs, whatever it was, that's what you did. So I think that is really what kind of got us in it, like started our career going. And we knew from then that being independent didn't mean just, oh, we're free to do whatever we want. It meant more work. It meant falling in love with this thing and becoming so passionate that it didn't feel like work and that you were able to just pour in. And as much as, sometimes when you think about being an entrepreneur or being independent, it sounds like you're going to work less, but that's not real. I think it's more about, it feels less because you're more passionate about it. You're pouring into you. And I tell people all the time, if you've lived enough life, just think and imagine if you poured into your thing as much as you poured into other people's, what that outcome could be like. So that was some of our thinking then. And we had just some dope mentors and people who were helping us think forward. And I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. And obviously, again, years of touring, and you're right. I looked at your Bandcamp, and you have like 50 or 60,
25 countries.
Yeah,
I'm proud of it.
Yeah,
25 countries and counting. And
you were just overseas performing
just overseas.
Recently.
Yeah, just in Paris, Luxembourg, and Berlin.
Yeah.
But the reason I said the number is because by the time I got to about 19, 20 different places I've been to in the name of music and culture, I started to realize that it's changing who I am as a person. It's gaining me this perspective that I didn't tangibly hold on to before, and these last several trips, I mean, I've did things intentionally like, climb the mountain, put your feet in the ground, breathe the air, and just look and be grateful, so. Yeah. Each one of those trips teaches me something else.
Yeah, we talk to young artists all the time. Also, like, you don't have to be the superstariest of superstars to do the thing you love, get paid, travel the world, go see the things.
Exactly.
And not have to,
Yeah, this world's a huge place. I mean, it's a small world, but it's huge at the same time. And yeah, I feel like if you're doing something that you're passionate about, even beyond music or something in that vein, I feel like it's important for you to live it out and be who you are while you're here, even if it's not for industry or, to be famous. It's like, me personally, I don't do this to be famous more than I do this to be free. Like, yeah.
Ooh, gems, bars. Yeah. You should try rapping. I think you'd have some things to say. Now, again, why we've gotten to so many great conversations. You're a great artist. I followed you. I knew of you back in New York before we crossed paths. But I think the time we crossed paths, you were getting into this intersection. And this is, one of the main reasons why we talk. A lot of good artists out there. I don't really talk to too many artists that are just doing their great artistry. But it's that intersectionality that always fascinates me. So you are a published author.
Yes.
You've written books and you've done workshops and you've done things in educational settings, doing the thing we talked about earlier, which is sort of merging the worlds of hip hop music and culture and education. Broadly speaking, because we don't have all day, but like broadly speaking, what does that look like? How did you make that pivot? And when did integrating your artistry into education, when did that start happening? And what did that look like?
Great question. And I'll keep it concise because that's a long path, but concisely, 2010, I'm off a tour, I'm on a break. Good friend of mine was into working with young people, teaching skill sets around music, performance, recording, beat making, etc.
Yeah.
So tapping into that, I feel like I did that for a year and felt very rewarding and was like, oh, this is cool. That same friend, shout out to Chen Lo, he said, yo, you ever thought about teaching? Like, I was like, bro, I thought that's what we're doing. He's like,
Right.
no,
Teaching.
in an academic setting.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, that's not really what I do, man. I'm on the road. I ain't got time to be locked out. So long story short, there was several programs in New York City. There was a lot of super seniors, young people who couldn't pass the statewide exams to get out of high school. They were stuck in school. So they had all these programs of teaching artists, co-teaching with certified teachers to use hip hop culture, music, youth culture, current events, and anything that young people related to get them past these exams, right? And I feel like the first weekend, I probably cried in my car like every other day because, these kids were just
badass kids.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Right? But then I learned that, you know what? They're brutal because they failed this thing like 12 times and they just don't believe they're broken,
Yeah.
They have trauma from this. So I had to build that trust again. And I feel like that scenario made me fall in love with it. When I was able to get kids who barely came to school 8 o'clock in the morning at summer school, ready to go. It was like, oh, wow, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
And
was this Fresh Prep?
Fresh Prep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
yeah.
I feel like 10 years after that.
I didn't know you were in Fresh Prep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned about from Rabbi Duckside.
Exactly.
Yes, I know
so
about it.
he was there before me. Yeah. So that got me in. And then it became more of a, not only is it solid working with the young people, but I feel like I got intel to share with the adults.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of teachers who necessarily were missing out. They were missing a lot of grand opportunities to connect with their students.
Like we were talking about before.
Exactly.
Yeah. And not to interrupt you, but the Fresh Prep, I know this, guys. I cite it when I do my talks.
Yeah.
Something like of all the kids that like failed this thing multiple times, really Regents exams from New York, you remember Regents exams?
Yeah.
Like 70-something% then went on to pass.
Yeah.
After this program of integrating, rap lyrics and, doing some of the, cultural connections.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely phenomenally effective.
Like think about if I was in class and I was entering in teaching world wars, I wouldn't talk about the war before I would talk about Kendrick and Drake and get it all out from that perspective and
Right.
then connect it to the wars.
Right.
And then they would seamlessly know how to speak about it, write about it, pass it on a test, etc.
That's right.
So that was the approach. And then fast forward, Dr. Jason Rawls, my partner, professor at The Ohio State University, we co-authored a book called Youth Culture Power. And it was really just teaching the adults. It's funny, we passed the book to people. They're like, oh, I got to get this for my kid. It's like, no, it's for you.
For you.
The kids are fine. The adults need to catch up because we realize that the young people are the generators of culture. They're the ones who are bringing these new things into a perspective. We wouldn't be OMG and LOL and SMH and if it wasn't for young people, right? So they're doing all these things and we wanted to point out that brilliance, but more so tap back to them to let them realize you got these cross-transferable skills that are powerful. Youth Culture Power.
Yeah, it's dope. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant book, not only for teachers, for parents.
Yes.
For anyone that has, youth in their charge. Old way
mentors,
of saying things, right?
coaches.
Yes, 100%. And again, this is not theoretical, okay? And not to, you're a pioneer of this. Jay Rawls has been a guest on the show, by the way, so he's a former guest as well. But so have about 10 or 12 other hip hop educator types that have worked some of these things in their own different, way. So again, this is a book. This is you've done workshops, right? You've worked with schools.
Yeah,
you've taught other educators. You've educated educators.
Totally.
Yeah, and there's a network of educators. Actually, there's the Hip-Hop Ed family. There's a whole consortium of educators that do this in schools all across the country. In all K through 12, in all of these with all these intersections. So it's again, if it's something that kind of whet your appetite and say, I want to learn more, but I'm a teacher. I know a teacher. I'm a parent, I'm a counselor, I work in a camp. These are things that, we hope that, you'll get a taste of and follow up with.
Totally.
Yeah. Real quick, we have a few minutes left. So real quick, there's so much to talk about with that. Again, if only we had a podcast and a newsletter and a Discord server, by the way, and a subreddit, and a book that's coming out in April. I'm just saying. It's not a very good book, but it should be good. So there's places to follow up and get more conversation. But for you personally, what's next for you? How can people stalk you, electronically and in public? What supermarket do you like to go to? But whatever, tell people whatever, all the end of interview things.
Yeah, DeKalb Farmers Market's my favorite.
Oh, that's a great place. That's great.
But no, what's next? Book. I'm actually finishing, I call it
Copycat.
an audio book because I did that version first. It's called Keep It Moving, Yo. It's really just a motivation for creatives. Anyone doing creative work, entrepreneurial work, it's that man on your shoulder or woman on your shoulder whispering those good things in your ear, that positive self-talk. So that's next. Outside of that, I'm always traveling, always looking to connect and build and network. Being back new here in the ATL metro area, that's one of my goals too, is just to branch out more, connect more, find more of my tribe here.
Yeah.
Preferably even outside of music, because I feel like I got the music, folks.
Yeah, no, and we talk about all the time, how much some of it's hidden in the cut, but like really good vibes musically, creatively in Atlanta. So it's just, we're from New York, so every city sucks.
Yeah.
But Atlanta's okay. Like y'all all right. Like we're good. I'm gonna, we're
from New York. We just don't want to live there anymore.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
But I also want to say, if you want to find me, anyone who's listening and tuned in and you want to find me and connect, johnrobinsonmusic.com or at John Robinson Music on social media.
Yeah. All right. Sounds very good. We will have a few, like 2-3 minutes left. You want to do with that thing?
Let's do that then.
All right. So I just want to thank y'all for listening, being here, especially here. Mark, everybody at PodJamATL. Charles, thank you so much. Again, my name is Manny Faces. You can find me you can find the show at hiphopcouldssaveamerica.com. All those things I talked about, the newsletter, the Discord, the everything can be branched off from there. And if you like me personally, you could just pay me on the way out. I'll meet you at the door. Or you can go to mannyfaces.com. It's pretty easy to remember, and there aren't many things named Manny Faces, except for the He-Man doll. We're not going to talk about that because we don't want to get trademark violation. In the meantime, in between time, JR has been gracious enough to bless us with some of his lyrical prowess. Y'all down for that? You want to hear something real quick before we go? Let's go. We have an instrumental on there, sir. Just yell. Like...
1, 2, 1, 2, ATL. How y'all feel? Yes. Okay, let's get this right into the vibe. Yo, the monarch of the dialogue, Grand Duke of the Scripture, Prince of intense sentence. He paint pictures, respect, loyalty, love, loyalty. Praise the wise people bringing incense and oils to me. Blessed. Passed down family background. Highest global for no one refining this rap sound. Ruler of Zamunda, science of the Kunda. Leany, the witch minus the bottle. Let me hear y'all say whoa. Say yaga. Say why yo. Louder, why yo. Say more fire. Say more fire. Say freestyle. Say freestyle. Yo, live and direct, freestyle, different places. Podcast jam, live and direct, main cases. John Robinson flows, he got a lot of them. 800 weeks, live in the places and weeks. He didn't write it down, no had a pen. We had him in the abdomen, and babbling around the world, he's traveling. Studying the music, confused it like Rubik's Cube. Like, oh man, he studied off the top. This is how we rock, yo. This is how we rock off of the top. This is how we go live in the place, and now I do it, yo. This is how we rock off of the top. This is how we go, yo. It's like, whoa. Say yaga. Say why yo. Yo, visions of your majesty. Walking down the path of mastery, mentally capture beats. Dapper peeps that strode, salute and respect. Always remain fresh. In this culture we rep, the dialect crisp. That's the gift. Walking through pages like through pages I put. Murder sage in the live on stage, he gon' flip when they drop this gift. And make the people just rock like this. Hands up, say oh, oh, oh. Say yaga, yaga, yaga. Say why yo. Say why yo. Say more fire. Say more fire. Say PodJam. Say ATL. My name is John Robinson. Peace, y'all. You're live in the place. Hip Hop Can Save America. PodJamATL 800 East Studios. Peace.
Hey, y'all, appreciate y'all. My man. Best in the world. One more time, make some goddamn noise.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
Yeah. Shouts to my man John Robinson. Shouts to PodJamATL. Shouts to Podcast Atlanta. Shouts to 800 East Studios. Shouts to DragonCon. Shouts to Valencia, Queen V in the building. What up, Cakes? Thank you for coming through. Shouts to everyone who popped up. Shouts to P, Talk Ish with P podcast. Paula in the building. Shouts again to y'all for watching me tonight. This is the next iteration, the next evolution of Hip Hop Can Save America. We did a live show. We did a live in-person, in-studio audience. I kind of liked it. I kind of been, I'm built for this. Like, I've been working up for it. So, we handled it pretty well. Of course, I did choose the calm, cool, and collected and super professional John Robinson to help me get through it. I'm a fast talker, but I was a little like 1.5x because I was nervous, but it came out really good. We had some people in the audience that definitely weren't connected to hip hop culture, but definitely understood a little bit more of what we preach. They came out to us afterwards. We made some connections. We got some future planning. So I'd love to do more of these live shows, especially, amongst the folk that aren't really connected to what we do, but also to some of y'all folks, you know who you are, and you might know folks that are jaded. And they don't think that hip hop can still do this. And if you just watch this video, you understand that hip hop can still do this. In fact, it could do it more than it ever could before. So please give us a thumbs up, share this. We had a good, turnout tonight, a lot of regulars, couple of new heads. We got to get the word out. We got to let people know that these shows exist. It's not going to happen by itself. The algorithms are not our friends. Hip hop is a positive, force for good, is not going to be amplified. Please do your part to help me, help us, by helping those who do this work. Get on the show and keep doing it. You can subscribe to the newsletter, mannyfaces.substack.com. If you like this vibe, I send out, we have event calendars for gatherings. So academic conferences, seminars, symposium, things like that. Not just concerts and fun times, but like where thought leaders get together who are using hip hop in these ways. We give news stories that give you some inspiration and hope. Right? That not just hip hop can help save America, but that at least something can help save America, right? So we're giving you a little bit of hope in our own little way. Shouts to my friend Bob Knutson, who is also, and a few of y'all who also are down. Shouts to Jennifer, by the way. Jennifer M is in the building, and also a new supporter on the Patreon. Look, donations will be accepted here, patreon.com/mannyfaces, or at the Substack. You can do it at either place. It really helps. I'm really struggling a bit, my friends, just to keep it real with you. A lot of the work I do is in podcasting, and a lot of my clients were nonprofits. Nonprofits are holding on to their money. They're keeping it real tight because of the administration federally is threatening to hold back funds. So some of my nonprofits are being literally funded by government grants from the federal government. And so they're like, hey, we're not going to do another season right now. We're not going to do any projects right now. That cut a lot of my personal income. Not that this is your problem. We all got ish happening. I actually was working on another project with another organization. They were all set to make moves with me, but they have government contracts. So they put on a freeze on bringing on any new projects. So we're all kind of going through some things. I think that hip hop represents a big part of the solution. And so even though I'm talking about $5 a month, whatever the case may be, every little bit does help. We have to keep these shows going. We have to amplify them. And even though I got a book coming out end of April, cross the fingers, it's on time. It's not a very good book deal. So it's not gonna make me any money. But I would like to go to places to talk about it and spread the gospel. Whenever you see me go somewhere, little known fact, I go to academic conferences a lot, and a lot of teachers and educators from colleges go. My dad used to do this all the time. He was a sociology professor. Every year we'd go to wherever the American Sociological Association had their yearly conference. And that would be our vacation. We would go there and we would have, we'd spend a week. He would like get most of the trip covered because the college would reimburse him because he's out representing the college. He's delivering a paper. Me and my mom would just be walking around town, and then we'd hang out for a couple more days. He'd come out of pocket for that. I don't have an institution that's paying me to go to these places. So anytime you've seen me, when I've gone to all these Howard University, Harvard University, up in New York or California, it's usually out of pocket. So this helps me get out there and spread the gospel a little bit to build up what we're building here so that eventually I don't need y'all anymore. And we get some funding from some, nice places that, take care of this and recognize the importance of this. Until we get there, every little bit helps. So thank you for that. I love the fact we did a live show. I'd love to continue doing that. So again, if you happen to be listening and you got some way of making that happen, wherever you might be, I'd be happy to bring this on the road here in Atlanta, up in New York. I'd try to be in New York later this summer to do some book stuff. Anyway, I'm around. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks again to John Robinson. Please follow him, johnrobinsonmusic.com or at John Robinson Music on all the socials. He's always putting out good material. And, he's just a good representative of all the things that we talk about here. Hip hop saving America, hip hop uplifting lives and livelihoods and communities. That's it. That's all I got for you. That's all I wanted to show you this week, our great live event. Next week, if I get my timing right, I have a fantastic interview. You're not going to want to miss this one. This person is a pillar of the hip hop and wellness space. Hip hop and upliftment, enlightenment, and just all the good things. You're going to love this interview. It's not your typical interview. It's pretty dope. To follow more of these things, please follow the newsletter, mannyfaces.substack.com. You'll get all kind of stories about this sort of stuff, and you'll get updates on the book when you can order it. I'm sure many people have reached out to me. Bob, you're here. You asked me about a twofer. I don't know all the details yet. I don't even know how much it's going to cost. It's not a self-published book. Like, it's through a publisher. Like, it's a real book deal. But I don't know all the details exactly yet. I'm waiting for a link that I could, send out to people to pre-order and all that stuff. But I'm still proofing the final proof, so it'll be probably a couple more weeks. But the newsletter right there will help you stay tuned to all of that. Yeah, Bob, Wisconsin Public Radio. Yeah, I want to. If anyone knows anybody, got the hookup, please, connect me, help me out. I'm doing as much as I can on my own. I'm trying to work a little deal with some publicist folk, to try to get a little help on the publicity tip. So yeah, maybe we'll get some love from, like NPR or some of the public radio stations across the country. But yeah, if you know some folks, tell them to reach out. I'm pretty easy to find. But stay tuned to the newsletter, because it's not just my stuff. And don't forget, I know I'm very hey, it's Manny Faces.
Manny Faces. You sick for this one.
Yeah, and then, I got this. I won't play the whole thing. And then, I got my, some of the women like to say,
Manny's fine, Manny's fine, yeah. So fine, Manny's fine, yeah.
So I got little things. It's Manny Faces. I'm I'm the big celebrity. No, I'm not. I'm just a guy, and I'm doing some cool things to try to get your attention. But the entire book is not 300 pages of me just spewing my stuff. The entire book is like this show. It's highlighting and showcasing and uplifting and amplifying and signal boosting all the people that are doing this work. They're dedicating their lives to this work. They're showing evidence of this work. So if you only caught a few episodes, if you're listening for the first time, I'm just like, don't listen to me. Listen to all the people that I've talked to, the way I frame it, and you'll get a real insight as to how hip hop can, I don't know, maybe help save America. So anyway, thank you very much. Shouts to Silent Night in the building. Silent Night, I'll be rocking with Silent Night, it looks like, on April 12th in New Jersey, New Brunswick area. It's near there, but it's in that area. I'll be at Rutgers April 11th for the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey area, that would be a time to be like, hey, Manny, let's have, coffee. Let's do lunch. I'll be in there for a minute, like maybe 2 days, 3 days tops. But it's a good time to come to Rutgers. If you're anywhere in the area, you'll love what the young people are doing for this conference. So hit me up there. I'll be probably back in New York in June. And that's all I have right now. I've got a few things that are out there. Some, like I said, the book's coming out in April. So I've got some things where I might be in your neck of the woods. If you want to bring me somewhere, if you want me to be where you are, hit me up and I'll try my best to work out a thing so I can come where you are. That being said, once again, thanks for everyone tuning in and turn up with us. We'll be back next Monday, 9 p.m. I've been really hitting the 90-minute mark, the hour and a half mark the last couple of weeks. I like it. This is it's a nice, solid show. Next week, a good interview. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah. I mean, I still don't have an outro. I need an outro for this damn song, for this damn show. But I don't have it. So yeah, all I can say is this.
Good work, Manny Faces.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, we'll be back next Monday night, 9 p.m. Hit me on socials. You know where to find me. Just Google Manny Faces. Go to mannyfaces.com. Hip-Hop Can Save America. We have a Discord server. If you're not on Discord, you should be on Discord. We have these little conversations going on during the week, so you don't have to wait for the show. We share information. We share events. We share new music. Every Friday, we do New Music Friday. So go to hiphopcansaveamerica.com. There's a little icons there. There's a thing at the top that says join our Discord server. Join the Discord server. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's okay. Think of it like a Facebook group, right? That but it's like just us. And it's not like all the crazy people in the world trying to come in and interfere. It's just us. So go to hiphopcansaveamerica.com for all of your Hip Hop Can Save America needs. That's it. I'm out. Once again, shouts to everyone tuning in with us. Shouts to Raphael Travis, aka Flow Story. Also got a great Discord server, sharing great music, especially like hip hop music that's uplifting and substantive and conscious, if you use that word, or just empowering. Like all these songs, all this music exists, and I really wish you'd get a little bit taste of it. So check him out. Shouts to Silent Night once again in the building. Shouts to Bob Knutson. Thank you, sir, for always kind of following around where we're going. Appreciate you a great deal. I'd love to come to Wisconsin and and do some things out there. The University of Wisconsin, actually at what's it? University of Wisconsin, Madison. Does a lot of hip hop stuff, and they've been quiet the last few years. I've been trying to reach out to them and find out what they're doing. Dr. Gloria Ladson Billings, I've had on this show. She's an OG of the culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy. Worked with hip hop stuff. The University of Wisconsin Madison has the First Wave movement. They're super dope. I just don't know if they're doing it anymore. I've reached out to them. I want to find out more. So stay on me, Bob, to make sure that your neck of the woods gets represented properly, because they're doing good stuff. And, this is why I do this show, because a lot of people are doing this work and they're so busy doing the work and they're up against so much pressure from universities and maybe now even more, like what's being funded, what's considered DEI and what they got to cancel. We see what's happening at Columbia. We see what's happening at a lot of places. And, it's enough to just kind of try to keep this going, either fly under the radar. So maybe I'm calling attention to them isn't a good thing, but no, because if we get the people behind these movements, then we can help protect them. So that's why I do what I do. So once again, if you could help donate, please, patreon.com/MannyFaces. Shouts to our newest supporters, Tara Moana, Jennifer M., and Hip Hop Musicals, hiphopmusicals.com. But we'll talk more about Hip Hop Musicals. They are our newest supporters, and every bit helps. Like I said, I'm losing business because of this damn administration, and I can't pay my bills. So not that this goes to paying my bills, but normally what I would spend out of my pocket would take me to do the hip hop stuff. So now y'all can really help me keep doing the hip hop stuff while I keep trying to pay my bills. So anyway, I appreciate it. And even if you can't, thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed and give it a share. The more people that we hear about this, the more I don't have to bother y'all. So help me out. And that's it. Peace and love, y'all. I'm out of here. I'll see y'all next week. Boom. Let's go. I think we got a Knicks game tonight. West Coast. Being a Knicks fan, man. If being a Knicks fan doesn't prepare you for all of the trials and tribulations of life, I don't know what does. So anyway, we out of here. One time for your mind. Don't forget.
Man is fine, man is fine, yeah. So fine, man is fine, yeah.
Ow. Peace. I'm out of here. See y'all next week. I'm out.